Hello everyone, back again with Tale Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the action comedy films from 2021, titled The Shaolin Boy. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further review, let's get straight to the storyline. The story begins with a boy named Lee who was learning Kung Fu in a Shaolin monastery since childhood. One day, Lee went to the monastery and apologized because what he was about to do might not be right. At that moment, a monk attacked him from the side. Lee was startled by the sudden attack but managed to confront the monk's assault. The monk threw him against the wall, but Lee bounced back, swiftly attacking the monk's chest in midair and defeating him in no time. After that, it was the turn of the sword-fighting monk whom Lee also defeated with his skill. Then he approached the third monk, who was meditating. Despite being vigilant, the monk sensed Lee's presence and hurled his prayer beads at a mirror, dazzling Lee's eyes. In the next moment, he grabbed Lee and threw him to the ground. The monk seemed about to win when Lee slipped away and then both engaged in a fierce fight. Ultimately, Lee emerged victorious. He then bowed his head at the shrine and left. The monastery's teacher informed him that he had shown the most skill in the competition, so he would have the opportunity to go to the city's new school. In the city, he would live with a family of 3, including 2 children and their father. The man was actually a scientist who knew the monastery's teacher. After that, Lee set off for the new city. In the new school, there was a 15-year-old boy named Feng who was a taekwondo player. His younger sister, Shanshan, deeply loved her brother. Lan managed the school's taekwondo club and often pointed out Feng's weaknesses to help him improve. Lan's brother, Yu, besides eating, didn't seem to understand much else. They were all good friends and lived in the same neighborhood. Actually, Lee was coming to live with Lee and Lan. Their father, Dr. Han, worked hard as his wife had passed away many years ago, so he was always busy with work. He was preparing a special device that caught the attention of the city's thugs. Dr. Han called the children, but Lan wasn't happy because their father never came home. Dr. Han promised to come soon and asked them to open the gift he had sent home. In reality, the device inside that box was the same device the thugs wanted. That's why Lee knocked on the door and Lan let him in. She took him to show the room, and there they found their father being held captive by the thugs. Larry, the leader of the gang, threatened Dr. Han to hand over the device. Dr. Han explained that there was no such device and revealed that he was working on AI technology that would allow his children to communicate with a robot that sounded like their mother. However, Larry didn't believe him. He found out from CCTV footage that the device had already been taken to Dr. Han's house. Then Larry's 2 henchmen, Sloppy and Fist, took responsibility for stealing the device. They were quite pleased because becoming thugs was their first mission after all. Both of them changed their appearance with strange and bizarre clothes and stood outside Lan's house. One of them decided to break in at night, but the other suggested waiting for the children to leave for school and then stealing it during the day. At home, Lee was learning the ways of the new city. He found taekwondo interesting while watching Lan's match. At night, when he was on watch, an argument erupted between him and Yu due to Yu's video game. However, they soon reconciled and began to enjoy the video game together. Meanwhile, Lan opened the gift box in her room and found a panda keychain. She didn't know that the panda was actually a pen drive, behind which the thugs had been after for a while. When Lan pressed the button, the panda asked her to set a password. Inadvertently, Lan uttered the password, which turned out to be the right one. Then, upon pressing the panda, she realized it had her mother's artificial intelligence voice. The next morning, Lee, Yu, and Lan set off for their first day at school. The thugs observed the children leaving and decided to execute their plan. However, one of them noticed the panda keychain hanging from Lan's bag. They then devised a plan to snatch the device. Along the way, Lan introduced Lee to Feng. Suddenly, one of the thugs stealthily stole the keychain and ran away. Lee quickly spotted him and, displaying his agility, swiftly caught the thief. Feng also joined in, and together they gave the thief a good beating. However, the thief remained stubborn and snatched the panda again, attempting to flee. This time, all the friends united and pushed him into a trash bin on the roadside. Then in school, the children in Lee's class were astonished to see a Shaolin kid. They bombarded him with questions asking if he could ever get married, etc. Eventually, the teacher silenced them and explained that such questions should be asked during the physical education period. During PE, their coach informed them that next month they would have a fitness test and whoever failed wouldn't be allowed in the next class. Hearing this, Yu became upset as he was overweight and had difficulty walking. Then the coach organized a 100-meter race. Lee finished 2 laps before everyone else while the other kids were still on their first lap. After that, they were asked to do push-ups and Lee, who was already skilled, did more than 100 push-ups while others couldn't even do 2. Later, he began doing push-ups with one hand, impressing everyone. Then it was time for high jumps, which was easy for Lee, but poor Yu felt disheartened. In Dr. Han's lab, Larry had tied him to a chair and was harassing him by hitting him with a golf ball. That night, they sneaked into Lan's house upon seeing an opportunity. Lee noticed them and started hiding behind a toy to scare them. However, they quickly spotted him and attacked. When Lan arrived, the thugs snatched the panda and fled. Lee explained the whole story to Lan and Yu, but they thought he was joking. Later, we see the 2 thugs lying down with golf balls in their mouths. In reality, they had mistakenly stolen a perfume bottle that looked exactly like the panda keychain. Larry needed to sell this special device to a company within 3 days, so he became restless. In anger, he aimed the golf balls at the thugs and threatened them to quickly retrieve the special device. The next day, all the children at school were watching Feng's taekwondo match when Yu and Shanshan, sitting behind, began talking about 2 ugly girls. Those girls were none other than the thugs who had disguised themselves and were waiting for the right moment to steal. They showed the panda on Lan's bag and waited for the perfect opportunity to snatch it. At that moment, Lee challenged Feng to another match and all the children ran ahead to watch this exciting match. Seeing the perfect opportunity, the thugs attempted to snatch the panda from the bag, but their fake balls got stuck in the loop. Meanwhile, Feng and Lee were engaged in an intense duel, both landing heavy blows on each other. Ultimately, they decided not to harm each other, and the match ended. At that moment, everyone turned around and recognized the 2 thugs. The children gathered and attacked them, but this time, they threatened to harm a girl, grabbed the panda device, and fled. Later, the kids went to the principal and explained the whole incident, while Lee blamed himself for everything, thinking that if he hadn't challenged Feng, Lan's bag wouldn't have been targeted. However, the other children reassured him that it wasn't his fault. Finally, the device reached Larry, who ran a program on the computer using it, but he needed a password to operate it, which he didn't know. He asked some programmers to unlock it, but even after the whole day passed, they couldn't crack it. Larry was getting extremely frustrated. Then he saw a message on Dr. Han's phone from his daughter. Lan wanted her father to come home for her birthday tomorrow. Larry, feeling guilty, promised to attend the party on behalf of Dr. Han. The next day, Lan and his friends were preparing for the birthday party. The rest of them left Lan alone at home to go get gifts for him. Just then, Lan received a message from his father that he had arrived outside the house. But as soon as she stepped out, someone abducted her and put her in a car and drove away. At that moment, Lee and his friends saw Lan in the van and started following her with their bikes. In the end, everyone reached Dr. Han's lab and started searching for Lan. Meanwhile, there was a heated argument between Larry and his business partner because Larry was supposed to sell that particular device the next day, but he still didn't know its password. Now, Larry, in anger, put a knife to Lan's throat and started asking for the password. Lan replied, "What's the password?" And at that moment, the program started running. Outside, the 2 starting thugs were being guarded by Lee and Feng. They launched an attack and quickly defeated them. However, then they faced Larry's man, Brett, who was also a dangerous fighter. So, despite Lee and Feng teaming up, they couldn't defeat him. Inside the lab, just as Larry's deal was about to go through, Yu quietly freed his sister and father. Lee also arrived there and faced the thugs. At the same time, Larry grabbed the bag with the flash drive and ran towards the exit. However, Dr. Han, Yu, and Lan teamed up and beat him up. Lee then faced Brett Lee again, with Feng joining him this time. Finally, they managed to defeat him together. In the end, the police arrived and arrested all the thugs. Later, the principal awarded Lee and Yu for their bravery. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.